Hey everybody, welcome to the presentation. Tonight we're talking about images, specifically images for your blog. Okay, this is actually a pretty important topic because getting images for your blog can be hard to do, especially because you can run up against copyright issues. Images, the good ones, often cost money. It's hard to find good images that don't cost money. Certainly, most of you guys with your blog and with your website, you're not going to be able to take your own photos. Maybe some of you guys can. I know I will be taking a few of my own photos because some of my blog is going to be about these strawberry plants that are in my backyard, right? Those of you guys who've been to these webinars, you know what I'm talking about. But it is a challenge. It's a challenge to find good pictures. And Michelle, you've sort of told me that the last few weeks that you've really struggled to find good ones. Here's the big issue, and I don't want to make any of you guys nervous about this, but you have to be so careful, and that's why I'm showing you this blog post right here. This is I don't read this blog. I just found it online the other day. I'm going to send this link out to all of you guys so that you've got it. There you go. All of you guys should have gotten this link. I'll put it in the comments of the video as well. Anyway, this person is a blogger. And this was written back on July 20th of 2012. The blog is titled, or at least this blog post is titled, "Bloggers Beware, You Can Get Sued for Using Pics on Your Blog, My Story." Okay, so she goes on to share a story about how in the early stages of her blog, she just grabbed pictures from anywhere and everywhere. She grabbed them off of Pinterest and Facebook, and because everybody else was, she was just grabbing pictures wherever she could and putting them on her blog. Oftentimes, she would even give credit to where they came from, to where she got them. So it's like taking a picture you find off of another website and then underneath the picture saying, "Hey, I got it from whatever, www.wikipedia.com. Here's the link." So anyway, later she goes on to say that at one point she was sued for an image that she used. And her blog it's not a blog that's looking to make money or anything. So it doesn't matter that she wasn't using the image for commercial purposes. Just because she used the image without the written consent of the photographer, they sued her or tried to sue her for a bunch of money. She doesn't say what ended up happening, if they settled or whatever, but I can tell you, and this through my own experience too. I've gotten a letter before in the mail from an attorney saying, "Hey, we want to sue you for some of the images you're using that you shouldn't be using." Now, I don't tell you guys this to make you worry. I just tell you this to be careful about the images you use. You're not allowed just because something is posted online, shared on Facebook, shared on Pinterest, posted on Twitter. It doesn't mean you're allowed to go out and put it on your own website. There's such a thing called copyright. What's copyright, guys? When I say copyright, what am I talking about? And how does one gain copyright of their material? So let's say I am a photographer, right? And I take pictures. The minute I take a picture of something, or I write a song, or I make a movie, or whatever the case may be, I automatically own the rights. I have a copyright of that particular piece of work. It doesn't need to be registered somewhere. So like, for example, if you took a picture today and posted it online, and then somebody went out there and took it and used it for themselves, they're violating your copyright. That is your piece of material. And so they have every right to go after you for that. Now, the crazy thing is, this happens all the time online. People are using images all the time. Now, there's a difference between like images that we're talking about using for a blog and product images. I think some of you guys are like, oh no, well I use somebody else's images for my products that I'm trying to sell on eBay or my website all the time. Well, that's different. Those images were made to be used to help sell a product. I'm talking about other types of images. Like for me on my blog, where I'm posting images of soil and plants and strawberries and that kind of stuff. I have to be super careful about this applies to a blog and a website, not so much to what you guys are doing on eBay or on on your own e-commerce sites. Okay. But I don't ever want any of you guys to use a photo and get in trouble for it later. So tonight we're just going to spend a few minutes talking about how to avoid that and places that you can go to get photos that you can feel good at night about, because you're not going to get a letter from an attorney. Okay. Let me read this little part right here to help drive home the point. See where it says it doesn't matter? Right here. Okay, it says it doesn't matter if you link back to the source and list the photographer's name. Okay, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the picture is not full-sized. It doesn't matter if you did it innocently. It doesn't matter if your site's non-commercial and you made no money from the use of the photo. It doesn't matter if you didn't claim the photo as yours. It doesn't matter if you've added commentary in addition to having the pic in the post. It doesn't matter if the picture is embedded and not saved to your server. It doesn't matter if you have a disclaimer on your site. It doesn't matter if you immediately take it down or take down the pic if someone sends you a DMCA notice. Anyway, notice to take it down. Basically what it's saying is none of those reasons are excuses. You're expected as someone on the internet using content to make sure that the content you use is legal. Okay? All right. So now that I've probably sufficiently scared you guys, and don't be nervous about this, just be smart about it. Let me show you guys how to go out and find decent pictures that are going to be free, okay? And legal, most importantly. So here's your first option, right? Your first option is to do what I do. Okay, this may not be viable for a lot of you guys, and I understand that, but you can go to a very popular photo stock photography site and buy a membership, and then you will never ever have a problem with photos. Okay, so I use Shutterstock.com, Shutterstock, Shutterstock.com, and we pay, I don't even know what we pay, $200 a month, I think. Actually, let's see if they show any pricing here. Here you go. Okay, this is pretty typical of a stock photography site. They're saying 2 images. Their cheapest thing is you could get 2 images for $29, which is ridiculous. Okay, that's almost $15 an image. 5 images for $50 or 25 for $230. Okay, that's one way you could do it. It's so expensive for these pictures. There's no way that's worth it. What I do is I do the pay up front for an entire year. Ends up being $200 a month, and I get 750 images a month. It's a pretty sweet deal, right? Makes for cheap images and really good ones. Not everybody has $200 a month to burn on photos, though. So if you're like, Trevor, you're crazy, there's no way I would pay that. Well, I don't blame you. Until your business is making enough money to pay for a membership with something like this, I'd be doing it the cheap way that we're going to share with you guys here in a minute. But if you never want to worry about it, you want a good stock photography site, I can vouch for Shutterstock. I love their stuff. Pictures are awesome. They're trying to get you guys to sign up for a monthly membership, by the way. That's why they make their just buying single images cost so high, because they want you to buy a monthly membership. Nobody in their right mind would buy 2 photos for $30. It's crazy. And Kirk, you're exactly right. If you've got a startup blog right now, you're not making a dime on the website. Don't even think about buying a membership here unless you want to just throw your money at it. Don't do it. Really consider this as you start getting some revenue into your site. Okay? So that's one option. How do we avoid copyright issues? Well, guess what? We just go buy a membership to a good photo site. Where that's not possible, and I understand that's not going to be possible for a lot of you guys, we need to look for something called Creative Commons licensed images, okay? And let me see if I can explain this well. I have this really nice video, this link that I'm going to send you guys. Let me find it real quick. Here it is. I'm going to send this out to everybody. Tell me if you guys get this link. Catherine, you said if we are not doing Moz, why Shutterstock? I guess I'm not totally following you. Shutterstock serves a totally different purpose, right? But like again, if you've got the money, yeah. I mean, Moz is one of those things that you can do a lot of your research up front, and then you don't need to use it again. In theory, like if you're making money on your business really well, 2 of the things that I would buy first would be a membership to Moz and a membership to Shutterstock, because they're so great. You'd use them all the time, but not up front. We've kind of established that. All right, so I sent out that link to all of you guys. Let me show you what I'm talking about. What's been difficult about photos, especially on the internet, is because of copyright being an issue. In theory, the only way that you can be sure that a photo isn't copyrighted is by contacting the person who owns the photo, and asking and getting written permission to use the photo, which is crazy because how do you even track down the owner of a photo, especially if it's been shared dozens of times over online? Sometimes it's hard to find the origin of the photo, so that's not feasible. B, even if you could contact the photo owner, there's a good chance you don't hear back from them and you can't get consent. Or C, you do hear back from them and they don't give you consent. With as many photos as you guys are going to want to use on your site, it simply just isn't feasible to go out there and try to contact the owner every time. So that's where this Creative Commons comes into play. And I sent you guys the link because I want you to watch this little 3-minute video at some point that explains it much better than I can. But Creative Commons is basically a way for someone who has an image that they created and put online, they can make it to where that image is available to be shared and used by other people like us, without actually having to go and get their written consent. So let's say, for example, I'm a photographer and I take pictures for a living, and I take a bunch of pictures that I don't mind other people using, okay? But I don't want 1,000 emails a day with people asking me if it's okay that they use them. Well, I can submit them and have them in this Creative Commons database or license through Creative Commons, and that just means that without having to have people contact me, people can just know that they can use my photos. So that's why this is really, really cool. And I'll show you how to find out which ones have Creative Commons licenses so that you guys know which you can use and which you can't. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? That's Creative Commons. I may have you guys go on to creativecommons.org and snoop around there and learn a little bit for yourself. These copyright licenses just make it super easy for sharing to take place and for you to sleep better at night when you're using photos. Okay? Now, the bigger question, knowing that we want to find these free, non-copyrighted photos, where do we go to find them, right? That's kind of the real burning question. Well, we can start with Google Images. You get a lot of you guys know about this. Google.com/images. Now I have this Albion strawberry site, right? So I'm looking for photos on strawberries. So I'm going to type in strawberry plant and do a search. And I've got to filter this search, okay? Because I don't know which of these photos is copyright. I have no idea. I can't tell. So I need to go to, I think it's search tools here. Yeah, search tools and then usage rights. And I want to find, labeled for reuse or labeled for non-commercial reuse or labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification. It can get really technical, but let me just look for stuff that's labeled for reuse. So I'm going to click on that. That's going to drastically diminish the number of options I have because most images online don't fall into that category of non-copyright available for reuse. But these would work. So I've already filtered these out, and these would be images that I would feel fairly comfortable using on my blog, not worrying for a minute that I'm going to get in trouble for doing it. Okay. So you guys see that? Okay, search tool labeled for reuse. Okay. Now labeled for reuse with modification, if I select that, that means that I can actually reuse these photos as long as I modify them a little bit. Maybe I put some text over the top of them. Maybe I change their color a little bit. Labeled for reuse with modification. That requires you to modify the photos just a little bit. And I agree, Kirk. Like Kirk just said, many of the reuse images aren't that great. I agree. You're limiting your options, so you're not going to have nearly as many cool pictures. If I took off this filter and selected not filtered by license, my quality of photos are going to be better. I'm going to have more options, but how am I supposed to know what's copyrighted? I suppose if I found some amazing picture that I just absolutely had to have on my blog, I could go to the website that posted the picture and ask them if I could use it. It's just not a good way to do it. Just isn't. So that's Google. That's one way to filter and find images. You could even use, and I saw this being suggested a minute ago, you can use something called Flickr. How many of you guys know what Flickr is? You guys heard of Flickr before? No? Some of you guys have. I probably have mentioned it before. Flickr's actually a pretty decent place to find images. Okay, so I could come here to the top, type in strawberry plant or whatever, do a search, and I could find some decent strawberry pictures. Okay, that's another picture database. The problem is same situation with Google Images. You've got to make sure you filter to make sure that you've got Creative Commons. So I'm going to come up here to any license, and I'm going to change that to all Creative Commons. There's actually different ones. I could go to no known copyright restrictions and select that. These pictures are kind of odd, grayscale, but there you go. Creative Commons right here. Okay, so I mean, for example, I could find this one right here. If I liked it, let me click on it. And then I can see the picture. Not a bad picture, right? So I could come down here. You've got this guy who submitted it, but you're going to notice this little icon right here where it says "Some Rights Reserved." Okay, you might wonder what that is. That's part of the Creative Commons. That's a Creative Commons logo. Well, if I click on that, that's going to define my responsibility here. And it says, so this is the Creative Commons attribute. It says under the following terms, this is called attribution. So this little symbol here basically means you must give appropriate credit, provide a link to the license, and indicate if changes were made. You may do so in any reasonable manner, but not in any way that suggests that the licensor endorses you or your use. Okay, so this is basically saying this person that has this photo is completely fine with you using it, but you have to attribute credit to them. So how do you do that? Well, they have a little tutorial on how to actually give credit appropriately. So you could click this, and we won't have time to do this tonight. We may do a webinar on it at some point to show you guys how to correctly give credit. But I could use this photo, right? And it's a decent looking photo. I just need to make sure that under the picture, I give credit and put a link back to this as well as to the individual who created the photo. So with Creative Commons, there's some have restrictions. Some force me to give credit. Some don't. But you always have to just look for the icons there. Okay, so let me go back. Let's see if we can do another example. Look at a different photo real quick. So here's a picture of some flowers. Okay, so do you see the two icons right here? I know they're probably kind of small, but there they are. You recognize the little person icon, so I know that I'm going to have to give this person credit. But you see this other little icon. It's got a little money symbol crossed out. So I'm going to click on Some Rights Reserved. And so it says, okay, this photo can't be used for commercial reasons. Non-commercial. You may not use this material for commercial purposes. So in other words, like I couldn't take this photo, I couldn't put it on a shirt, have it printed on a t-shirt and sell the shirt to make money. Right? Like that would be an example of using the photo for commercial purposes. Could you use it on your website, your informational website? Yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't violate that because you're not selling anything. You guys are selling advertising, but the main purpose of your website is to educate, and using a photo like that would be just fine. But I can't, if I love that photo, I can't print it. I couldn't make Christmas cards with it and sell them. Couldn't post it on a t-shirt and sell it, right? Couldn't put it on a calendar and sell the calendar. That right there says so. So with Creative Commons and with copyright, guys, these images that are free to use and have and don't require us to go ask permission, they may have some restrictions, and that's what you're learning about right here. But what's nice about it is if you ever don't recognize one of the little logos here as you're using Flickr, you can always just click on where it says Some Rights Reserved and read about that specifically. Another place that I like, that's Flickr. Questions about Flickr, guys? So far we've done Google, we've done Flickr. Creative Commons actually has a way to search off of their website. Let me see if I can find where that is. I can never remember. Here it is. Okay. So search.creativecommons.org. All right, so Creative Commons has a way that you can search for stuff that's been licensed, right? That has a license with Creative Commons, which in other words means you could use it. So they have Flickr here. You can type in a keyword phrase and select Flickr, and it'll automatically create that filter within Flickr and let you do a search. Google Images. And there's other stuff here. You've got OpenClip Art Library. You've got Pixabay. Anyway, I know you guys aren't really concerned as much about music, but whatever. So there you go. So you can do a search that way. That's the Creative Commons search, search.creativecommons.org. That's a way that you could do it. One of the ones that I actually like and that I've used over the years, it's called freeimages.com. I'm a big fan of freeimages.com. I've used these guys for 10 plus years probably. So I go here and type in strawberry plant. And it's going to show me pictures of free ones and pictures of paid ones. Don't be surprised. Like, these guys are promoting, they're giving me free ones, but they're also trying to promote their paid photos. So if I just want to see the free files, I can click on this free, and then I can see my options right here. These are all totally free to use. You don't have to give credit. I could use any one of these, okay? But they're still trying to advertise these other pictures over here that would cost money. But again, like, free files, that's what's crazy. Free files, I have 43 free images that I could use. All files, there's 10.8 thousand. Okay, so 10,800 pictures of strawberries that I could use, but some of them are going to cost me money. So I got to agree with you, Kirk. It is so much easier if you're buying your images, but it's not very feasible to most of our clients. And so we have to teach you guys to do it the hard way, but the legal way. And that's what we're trying to show you how to do tonight. Now, I want to explore some other image options for you. We're not going to do it tonight. I'm going to give you a chance to kind of use some of the options I've shown you here. But I think I have shown this to some of you guys in the past. This is one of my favorite resources, and Kirk, you put this up in the chat. It's this link right here, and I'll send this out to everybody. This is a list of free image sources. I'm sorry, my computer's going slow. Haven't used PhotoPin, Michelle, so I can't really comment on that. Yeah, sure, Catherine, I'd appreciate it. Send me what you guys use. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys are using right now. So this is the one I've sent out. I've showed this to you guys before, but this is the free image sources list. This was done back in 2014 and has a lot of resources to find free images. And Michelle, I know this has all been kind of on your mind because you've really been looking for good images. There's not an easy way to just go out and find good free images that aren't going to get you into trouble. It takes some work. And, you know, for some niches, myfreeimages.com is really good, but for others, you can't find hardly any pictures that you like at all. So some of these resources are good for certain areas and others not so much. So you kind of have to discover for your niche what's going to end up being best, okay? So I really like this because it's got a really, really good list of different places, and I would be trying, here's free images, that's on their list. I would be using these different ones to try out what you guys feel is best for you, okay? Sure, I can show you that. Rick wants me to go in and give an example of Shutterstock. Shutterstock is the free database that I use. I'll sign into my account. This is Shutterstock.com, and I'll search for, strawberries here. And there you go. They have 443,000 pictures related to strawberries. And you know what's cool? You can tell the quality is really nice on these, right? A lot of the really clean white background photos, I think those are really nice. And what's really cool that I love, doing a little bit of web design, if I click on this, I can get it in all these really giant sizes too. I can get a 500 by 351, which is a small size, but I could get this as big as 5,000 pixels. Okay, so that's like the size of 10 pencils put together, right? Up and down. It's a huge picture. It'd be like a poster on the wall. So these are like really, really nice, high quality pictures. And guys, I'm not trying to sell you Shutterstock here. I have no financial interest, trust me. But I'm just saying, having done it the free way and kind of trudging out there trying to make sure I'm not violating copyright versus paying $200 a month and just getting free images whenever I want. I mean, it's so nice to be able to use these free images. But it's also not financially feasible, and I understand that. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, Oliver. Oliver says another good way is to find a good image that is copyrighted, use it as a guide, and take your own. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you guys from taking your own images and using them. That's for sure. You can see why a lot of people do that when they can, and I'll certainly be doing that on my own site. Yeah, did I say free? This isn't free. Shutterstock is paid. Yeah, sorry if I misspoke there, Darcy. Yes, Lauren. So I have had this question comes up a fair bit. I know we're not talking about eBay right now, but I've had eBay take off images that I've used of products. A lot of you guys on eBay probably had that happen before. What usually happens on eBay is if there's a holder of a copyright that wants to protect their image from being used, they'll look on eBay for people who are violating that copyright. And if they find you violating a copyright, they'll send a message to eBay. eBay will send a message to you and take down your image. eBay will send you kind of a nasty email that'll say, hey, if you don't stop, you'll get banned, and we take copyright issues very seriously, blah, blah, blah. Well, they do, but eBay is not really interested in getting in the middle of it, so they just take the image down, and that's that. I've never had somebody banned or lose their eBay account because of copyright issues. The only way I think that it could happen is if you take that same image or that same brand of product and you list more of their stock photos. That you could get in trouble for. So it does happen. So if you get a copyright thing from eBay, don't stress about it. Like, it happens to all of us. Just make a note of what company it was from and try not to list their stuff. Yeah, it happens. Okay, good question. Other questions that you guys have? Anyway, I won't show you any more Shutterstock. It's got anything you can imagine. Thinking of your site, Michelle, I was going to think of like bad hair, maybe. Bad hair day. I'm sure you can get all sorts of good images. Anyway, I mean, anything you can imagine. Quality's all good, and you know you're not violating copyright. Yeah. How about products like Ziploc bags? Would you be able to use that? Explain that a little. I'm not sure what you mean 100%, Michelle. Yeah, don't have a heart attack over it, Lauren. Seriously. It happens to all of us. In fact, anybody who's ever sold a lot of product on eBay has had that happen a lot. It just happens. Darcy, you say you violate a copyright only if you are selling something the same thing, or no, no, no. You're violating copyright anytime you're using an image that you shouldn't. It doesn't matter if you're selling something or not. If you're using the picture just as an informational thing, or to use a point, or to print on a Christmas card, or that's all copyright violation unless you've got express consent from the owner. Yeah, that type of shampoo. Michelle's asking if she can use a very specific type of shampoo picture on her blog. Probably, especially if you're promoting it. I doubt they would have a problem with it, but technically, you should probably ask and or take your own picture. But like, look, we're getting super technical about it. If you're promoting somebody's product, they're probably not going to get upset about it. That's why you guys that have 300-400 eBay listings going at once with all these different product photos that you didn't take. That's why it rarely happens that copyright issues come up, because if I own a product that I'm trying to sell, or if I'm the manufacturer of a product that I'm trying to get promoted out there, I don't care if you're using my picture. I want you to use my picture and try to sell it. So products are different. The laws are the same, but you don't have the same sort of copyright issues as if you just found a picture of this girl with the crazy red hair right here. Found her online and then used it on your blog. Somebody took that, owns the rights to it, and wants to protect those rights. So you have to be careful about stuff like that. Yes, Rick, they do. The Shutterstock photo that you guys, or the Shutterstock, we call it a, what? Why is it escaping me? It's called somebody help me. Oh, watermark. Yeah, it's called a watermark. So that's just to help prevent this photo from being used. Yeah, I'm losing my mind, guys. That's what happens when we skip a week, I guess. So, Michelle, I'm going to ask you directly. Do you feel like after our discussion, do you feel like you have a few more ideas about what you could do? There's actually a lot of other places we can look into. But tonight I wanted to make sure you guys were pretty clear cut on at least the laws behind copyright. I'm no lawyer, right? I mean, you want really good legal advice about this type of stuff, you probably have to talk to an intellectual rights or copyright lawyer. But I've done this long enough to know the ramifications of using photos that you shouldn't, and at least where to go to find photos that you can use. And as you build up enough revenue on that blog and you're making money, well, then great. Go get yourself a membership to Shutterstock and enjoy using images that you know are good and won't cost you money. Well, I shouldn't say that. They do cost you money because you're paying monthly for them, but at least they'll save you the time. Yeah. So Rick asked, did they ever take the lawsuit to the next step with you? No, actually. But funny enough, my father-in-law, who owns an insurance company, he used a photo on accident on his site, and I think the lawyer who contacted him about it, they ended up getting a few $100 off him. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't think you'll ever get prosecuted for more than, a fine of a few $100, but who wants that? We want to try to avoid that kind of thing. And look, we want to try to obey the law, right? I'm a big believer that when somebody takes a photo and does the work and does a good job, they are the copyright holder. That's their photo. Who are we just to go and use it for our own benefit unless we get their permission? So, I like copyright laws. They're just very difficult on the internet because sometimes it's hard to tell what is copyrighted and what wasn't. I remember when I first started online, guys, I was told by somebody that if there wasn't a copyright symbol at the bottom of a website, you know how sometimes when you're on a website you'll see a copyright symbol somewhere? fact, I wonder if that's the case here. Yeah, I know you guys can barely see this, but there's a little copyright symbol down there at the bottom. I was told that if there wasn't that symbol there, that I could use anything I wanted on the site. I actually believe that. And I was using photos like crazy that I had absolutely no right to use. That's just completely incorrect. It doesn't matter if it says it's copyrighted or not. Everything that is ever created by somebody is inherently copyrighted. It's whether or not they want to enforce that copyright that's the question. Okay, good, Michelle. Michelle just said, I do, but it seems that the very specific pictures that I'm looking for are not available on the free sites. That could be true, Michelle. You might be in a niche that's just a little bit tougher to find photos. But I have a couple of new ideas. Can't wait until I can afford Shutterstock. Amen to that. $200 a month, well spent. I don't know, Oliver. Oliver just asked, how do the people on Shutterstock make a reasonable royalty when the paying user is a monthly subscriber? I have no idea. I'm sure, I'm sure it has to do with Shutterstock paying out a small amount per download to whoever submitted the photo. I'm not sure how it works at all, but I think photographers can go in and submit photos and then make a little bit of money every single time it's downloaded. That would be my guess. And I'm sure it just works. I mean, we pay $200 a month for Shutterstock for 750 photos, and I don't use all 750 every month. So I just, their model works. They're making enough money, clearly. Catherine, you say, what I try to do when that happens is combine two common license photos on Pixlr. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, guys, I hope this helped a little bit. Seriously, when I thought about doing this one tonight, I wanted to make sure you guys were clear on the laws behind it, because I don't want an email from any of you someday saying, Trevor, I got sued for a photo. That'll never happen if you follow our advice tonight. But I think what we'll do in the future is I want to share some more photo sites that are free. I'll do a little more homework on my end. It's easy for me just to say, oh, I use Shutterstock and I pay $200 a month, but I know not everybody's got the money to just afford that right now for their business, nor should you. So if you don't have the money, I want to show you as many free resources as you can. And you know what? Pictures are important. If we've got an affiliate website and we're trying to make money off of posting links and doing advertising, you can't just have a wall of text on your blog. You got to have some visual interest. And if we're going to get visual interest, if we're not going to take the photos ourselves, we better make sure we're not stealing somebody's copyrighted stuff. Okay? Darcy says this, aside from Michelle's specific details relating to her pictures, why can't she not create these photos and take them on her own? She could. Yeah, I mean, definitely. These would be photos that you could do on your own, Michelle. Just have a really bad night of sleeping, wake up, take a picture of yourself, right? You could absolutely take your own photos. It's possible in some niches, right? It's possible for mine because I'm doing stuff on the Albion strawberry, and I just so happen to have 25 plants sitting in my backyard. That's easy for me, right? But not everybody is comfortable taking their own pictures. Not everybody wants to take the time to do it. So it just depends on the person. But you could take your own pictures for sure. All right. Well, guys, thanks for taking a few minutes with me tonight. I hope this was helpful. And if nothing else, you can walk away from this saying, "Hey, I know more about copyright law and pictures than I ever knew before. And I'm not going to be the victim of some sort of a lawsuit because I'm going to be smart about the way I use photos on my affiliate site." And that's ultimately what I wanted your takeaway to be. We can explore more free photo options and in some of our webinars. I may do more on it next week. We'll see. So just stay tuned. And as always, guys, if there is a topic relating to what we're doing right now that you feel like needs to be explored a little bit more, I'd be happy to take a few minutes in a webinar and do it. I'm always happy to take your ideas for what we talk about. Sure, Catherine, I don't mind doing that. Just if you don't mind reminding me and emailing me first, that would be great. Okay, all right, we'll finish up, guys. Next week, same time, same place. I will see you again, and have a good rest of your week, okay?